I just wanted to start by thanking Laurel for taking the time to chat with us at the Christian Beat, all about all of the new music that you've released this year and have yet to release this year. So thanks for chatting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I do want to start with one of your songs that you have yet to release at this point. It is going to be coming out next, and that's I believe it's called Clarity. And it's going to be featuring a guest artist as well. But do you want to talk a little bit first of like how that track came to be, where you first had the inspiration for it, and when you first interacted with it, and how it's kind of evolved to what is going to be released soon?
Yeah, totally. It was actually me, Jonathan Gamble, and Kay Thompson. It was like a year and a half ago we wrote this, and honestly, we were in a place of, everybody was asking questions like what's right, what's wrong kind of thing, and just needing clarity and like what is even the truth. And I know for me, where I was at was kind of like a very vulnerable state of, okay, like there's people like shoving things down my throat that I'm not sure if I believe it or I don't believe it, and so I never really wanted to put this song out, which is funny, but my manager heard it this year and she was like, this is you. And I think I didn't want to put it out because I didn't want people to know that I was questioning. And that's the very thing that you need to put out, is being the vulnerable, genuine, honest side. And so I told Cade and Jonathan, like, hey, I'm going to put this out. So first it was just me. And I was trying to find somebody to like feature on it. And I was like, you know what, let's do a rap. So a friend of mine was like, why don't you just do like Tedashii? I was like, I don't know Tedashii, like, cool, but I mean, okay. So I texted him and he was like 100%. He like texted me back. He was like, sis, this is fire. So we used Zach Paradise in California. He produced it, and Tedashii did his part. And I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy how he tags like Dragon Ball Z as a lyric. I was like, okay, whatever. So that's kind of how it came about.
I was going to ask if when you first had created or first was thinking through the track, if that rap portion had been like in your thoughts, or when that actually flowed in. So I was curious about that.
Just this year, I mean, it like a few months ago, because it was chain smokers kind of sound, and then it went from that to it needs a hip hop. it needs something, some kind of rap. And I just want to appeal to this generation. I'm always trying to do that, so keep it relevant.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that that's not the first track that you've released this year. You've had a handful of others that you've released in the past 6 months. I'm just curious if you want to talk me through those kind of, they're all a little bit different, but like what you see as the thread that kind of weaves them together, and what some of that feedback has been to you from the listeners that have been able to interact with those songs.
Yeah, I feel like the listeners definitely understand it more than a business side. I know you can look at it and be like, who is she? But at the same time, I wasn't very focused on this like lane. I was just focused on more of testimony and the pain and the struggle and just the realness of my heart. And so as like One Step comes out, Healed, Sound of Freedom, these are all either like victory cries or they're, hey, I'm struggling. And so now that I know who I know, the sound I'm going for, when I did American Idol, I did pop music. And I believe that my heart was not in the right place. And so that could have really, really taken me down a really not good road I, will want to go down. And so now getting to do it again, but having the hope and the positivity and the encouragement in the songs, I just know this is the lane. So, having One Step, Healed, Sound of Freedom, Old House was, I thought I was a country singer, just all these things. Like, my roots are country. I'm from Alabama. But I've been in Nashville for 11 years. So like I told somebody the other day, I'm very diverse. I love music. And I heard Gabby Barrett say at the K-Love, she said, music's just music. It's becoming genreless. And that's so, it's just music. Like, people love music, good music. So just make good music. Don't worry about it has to sound this way or it has to be in this lane, But
No, I totally agree. I totally get that. I'm curious though. So you mentioned that like kind of the thread for what you've been releasing is that vulnerability, that message, your heart behind it. So I'm curious what kind of season of life these have all come from. Like, have they all come from like the last, year or so, or are they ones that are they ones that you've had and you're just pulling out now because it's the right time? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
how they.
I mean, Old House released this year, and I wrote it 2-3 years ago. And it just wasn't time. Things have to present itself, like Healed was a testimonial story of how if I could just touch him his garment, I'd be healed. I didn't have the faith, like the lady, the blood issue, like she had the faith to know she could be healed. And I just saw healing for other people. I didn't see it for myself. And so putting out Healed was like I'm healed, and so things like that. And one step was just simply taking one step at a time and telling myself that. I still tell myself that, like, that song will just come up out of nowhere. And I'm like, why am I singing my own song? Because it's true. Like, just take one step at a time, don't worry about 5 steps ahead of you because God's got it, and that's just the simplicity of it. And it's just honestly building a foundation through all my songs, or just, that I'm leaning on the Lord if I say it or not.
No, absolutely. I'm curious kind of what you're thinking. I don't want to get you in trouble for asking this question, but like what you're thinking in terms of like how to continue this conversation of these like messages, but the stories that you're bringing out. Like if you have anything in mind that you want to do to help continue that, more music that you want to release out with some of that same type of messaging, those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question. I'm a very I'm an out of the box person. And that can be really terrible when it comes to business. And like major label talking, But as an independent artist, I try to communicate my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And however that comes across to that person is how it's going to come across. You can try so hard and set up this, okay, this is what this song's about, but they might not hear it that way. So moving, all I can do is just create my heart that a heart that's chasing God, and chasing the Lord and seeing what he has for me, and not worrying about the success level or the next hit song or whatever, just doing music that I love and that God's pleased with. I think that's my goal every day. My desires definitely have changed in 11 years, wanting to be the spotlight, which, a part of, as an artist, you are the spotlight, but I'm using my gifts to minister. If that's saying Jesus, or if it's saying, hey, like, I'm okay, like, I just want to appeal to people, and I want to be so approachable. I don't ever want people to think they can't come talk to me, and so that is changing a little. I personally believe that God's called me to the secular world, from clarity to a crossover, like just making worshipful music and then not even knowing that it's like, wait, that song's about God, like, it's just cool how he does that, I will say Tedashii told me not too long ago, he said, you have way too much pride if you think God can't use a secular song and it just has to be in the Christian. I was like, that's so good. You're like putting God in a box,
Yeah.
He can use Old MacDonald Had a Farm. You know what I mean? Like, hey. So anyways, I guess that answered your question.
Oh no, I think you have. And it actually made me think of another one. And like, especially as you've been evolving, as you said, over these past, how many ever years you've been doing music in totality, but especially these last couple, I'm curious kind of what your definition of success is, and I mean that like not just in like the business world sense, because I think that that's obviously a piece of it, but it sounds to me like you're driving your career, your music from a different space, and I'm just curious like how you define that for your own journey at this point.
Honestly, success to me is obedience. Um, I can be like the next Taylor Swift, and I can completely step away from what God is telling me to do. That's not success to me. I want to stay so close to his feet that I hear his voice when he says, "This ain't it," or "This is it. Walk in it," and definitely obedience. Waking up, doing it every day.
Absolutely. And I do want to go back to a little bit of what we touched on earlier, and just some of the stories that you're hearing from listeners and kind of the feedback that you're getting on these songs as you release them. To your point, I think you made the comment like, it's not necessarily what you think the message that you're sharing, but sometimes people hear other messages in those songs. And I'm just curious how that, like, if there's a particular song you had in mind when you said that, or if it's just an overall deepening of song meaning, like as you get that feedback.
It's Old House. When I put that out, people had a very different perspective. Mine is my personal story. Mine is choosing a house that I didn't necessarily have to live in. It was a choice I made for myself, and I put myself there. We all put ourselves there when we make decisions. And so the Old House represented like, I don't live there anymore. Like, I walked out the door. I didn't look back. I didn't go back to cut the grass. I didn't pull in the driveway anymore. I didn't check that mail. Like, I was gone. And if I were to drive down that street again, it's not me. I don't belong there. So that was just a season for me. And so I think I was actually trying to build it like House That Built Me by Miranda Lambert, but spin on it. So people hear it how they want to hear it. Like, oh, so you're telling me I don't need to go back to that job. It's like, whatever has, that's fine. Like, however it ministers to you, just do it.
No, for sure. And I'm curious if there's any opportunities that you kind of want to highlight over the summer season, or even coming up through the end of the year, for interactions with you in person. Any live shows that you're working through, or opportunities that people can come hear you do the music.
Gosh, what's crazy is I never play in my own town, Nashville.
Fair.
One show next week at Tempo, downtown Nashville, and party. Me and Tedashii are going, just have fun. Yeah. But we never, you never get to play close. I'm playing Soul Fest in Massachusetts, and I'm playing with Big Daddy Weave and Kate Thompson, Sean B, and Hovey, I think his name is. Yeah. In North Dakota. Never been there. That's really hours. But no, I love interacting with, I hate to call them fans. That's so like, I just say like followers, listeners, whatever. Just, I pick somebody different if they're gonna be my fan. Like, I hate that word, because it's like, I don't want fans. I just want people that believe in me,
Yeah.
And I so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm curious, Clarity, I'm sure you're looking forward to doing live, but is there any of your other tracks that you're really looking forward to, just because they take on a different either musicality or a level of enthusiasm when you do the live shows?
Yeah. There's a song called Out of the Water. It's not under my catalog, but it is in my discography by someone else. And I'm singing on it. I wrote for this church with it. And I do that song, and I'm telling you, it gets like rowdy because it's gritty. It's where I'm from. I told you, Alabama. So I'm like, and it never fails. I embarrass myself every time, but I'm like, who wants to get nasty and like dirty? Like they're like, huh? You know what I mean? You know, it just makes the crowd like laugh, and it's just a very fun, like raw, you know, like I just went to the back and ate gravel or something, like, because I have that background. So I love
Mhm.
doing that. They're like, what? You know, so they know that could come out of me, I guess.
No, 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 that's great. I do want to be respectful of time, so I'm just going to close with one final here, not really question, but just giving you the opportunity to share an encouraging message, or some, final words for the listeners and those that you hope are impacted by your music.
Yeah, totally. Well, one, please go follow me on all platforms if that's Laurel Taylor Official, and just go listen to my music. And honestly, I pray that every person that hears it, like, that they have a sense of hope. I know in my past, I listened to music because I was looking for something. I was searching for something and I couldn't find it. And when I found Jesus, I got it. You know, I filled that void. And so I pray that my music does that. I feel I pray that it fills a void, truly.
Awesome. I just want to thank you, Laurel, for taking the time to chat with us. I really appreciate getting to hear more about your heart and behind the music a little bit. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.